Hey everyone, so I'm Gracyn and I'm a junior at Morningside. I'm also a student leader here at United. I have always been involved in church in some capacity, but I have not always known Jesus on a personal level. I grew up in a supportive family that loved me very much and provided me with everything I needed to succeed. Despite this, my life has been a constant battle with anxiety and depression. I spent most of high school feeling alone and thinking I wasn't good enough. I constantly worried about anything and everything, from what others thought about me, to who I would sit by at lunch, to what my future was going to look like. My mind was endlessly racing with lies and what-ifs. It was like I was living with a cloud over my head and had the weight of the world on my shoulders. I could not understand why I felt this way. I prayed daily. I went to church and youth group every week. I read my Bible, but I had never felt further away from God. I felt like he had forgotten about me, and I was angry at him. I asked myself, why me? Why do I have to go through this struggle? What did I do to deserve this? I continuously asked God to give me a purpose for my life, to bring me joy, to show me where I belong. I felt like he was not hearing me, and my prayers were not being answered. As I moved into my first year of college at Morningside, I continued to feel like I was not enough, and I was never going to fit in. I was struggling so much with feeling alone that I ended up moving back home after my first semester and commuted to my classes every day. This only caused me to feel even more isolated. Towards the end of my freshman year, my niece Penny was born. She was born with multiple heart defects and had to undergo open heart surgery. Penny was a fighter, but she went to be with Jesus at only 7 weeks old. I was wrecked by the loss of my niece. I could not understand why God would do that to me and my family. It was not fair. I was angrier than I had ever been before, but more than that, I was hurt. How could he let this happen? Couldn't he hear my prayers? I knew the funeral was going to be rough, but what I didn't know was the work that God was doing inside me. While at the funeral, the pastor focused on the verse, Romans 8:28, and we know that in all things, God is working for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. It was during this message that I realized I had been living my life for me and not him. I had been hearing God's words, but not living. His words were going in one ear and out the other. I was trying to do everything on my own instead of surrendering to him. All I had to do was open my heart and hear what he was telling me instead of waiting for him to do what I wanted. He was answering my prayers. He was giving me answers the whole time. I just wasn't listening. He had given me a purpose for my life. He was the place that I could find joy. I would always belong to him. After this realization, I committed myself to live by his words. I slowly started to feel his light return to my life and the weight on my shoulders lessen. I no longer look for my worth in the opinions of others. I look forward to spending time with God and in his word each day. I have never felt so at peace. I know I don't have to worry because his plan for my life is greater than I could ever imagine. I know he loves me exactly as I am, and he will always open his arms to me. I know I belong to him and always will. I know I am set apart and chosen by him to work for his good. 1 Peter 2:9 says, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness and into his wonderful light." He has chosen each and every one of us as his children. We are all here as a part of his plan and are working towards his purpose. He has called us out of the darkness so we can lead more people towards his light. As I have grown closer to God, I have also gained confidence and excitement in sharing his word. If you would have told me a year ago that I would be standing up here today giving my testimony, I would have laughed at you and told you you were crazy. But he has shown me that his love needs to be shared. Knowing his love has changed my life and shaped me into the person I am today. Don't get me wrong, I am far from perfect. I still make mistakes. I let worldly desires take priority over him. I still get anxious about the things I cannot control. But the difference is I now know who to run to when I'm struggling and in every moment of life. Living in his presence has given me the peace and joy that I had been looking for all along. Thank you.